convenience. 2. Self-control. Yehovah, Gibbor, Milchamah. Yehovah, mighty in battle. Yehovah Elohei, Gibbor, Milchamah. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Please fill me and lead me, and cover me and stir me, and speak through me with your Ruach Kodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness and humility to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua-HaMashiach's name. Amen. We'll start with the Shema. Listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity with himself, and you shall act upon your love to Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts, mind, with your entire body, with all the muchness that you have. Yeh-ho-VAH. Hen, behold, now, behold. 2 Chronicles chapter 26. Meanwhile, all the people of Yehudah had taken Elatov, Uzziah, at the age of 16, and made him king in the place of his father Amaziah. He recovered Elatov Elot for Yehudah and rebuilt it. It was after that the king Amaziah slept with his ancestors. Uzziah was 16 years old when he began to reign, and he ruled for 42 years. He ruled for 42 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Yokaliah from Jerusalem. He did what was right from Yehovah's perspective, following the example of everything his father Amaziah had done. He consulted God during the lifetime of Zechariah, who understood visions of God. And as long as he consulted Elatov Yehovah, God gave him success. He went out to fight the Plishtim, breaking down the Elatov walls of Gat, Elatov Yavni, and Elatov Ashdod. And he built cities in the area of Ashdod and among the Plishtim. God helped him against the Plishtim, against the Arabs living in Gur-Baal, and against the Me'unim. The Ammonim brought tribute to Uzziah, and his fame spread abroad as far as the Egyptian frontier, since he kept growing stronger. Uzziah built towers in Jerusalem at the center gate, at the corner gate, at the valley gate, and at the angle, and fortified them. He built towers in the desert and dug many cisterns, because he had much livestock. Likewise in the Shifla and the coastal plain. He had farmers and vineyard workers in the hills and in the fertile lands, because he loved the soil. Uzziah had a standing army of fit soldiers divided into units according to the census taken by the secretary Yeiel and the officer Maaseiah, until under the direction of Hananiah, one of the king's officials. The total number of clans heads over the strong, brave men was 2,600. They directed and trained an army of 307,500 fighting men, a strong force supporting the king in war against the enemy. Uzziah equipped them, the whole army, with shields, spears, helmets, armor, bows, and slingstones. In Jerusalem, he built devices designed by experts for the towers and angles from which to shoot arrows and lob large stones. His fame spread far and wide, for he was miraculously helped until he became strong. But when he was strong, he became arrogant, which caused him to become corrupt, so that he sinned against Yehovah his God by going into the temple of Yehovah to burn incense on the altar of incense. Azariah the Kohen went in after him, and with him were 80 of Yehovah's Kohanim, brave men. They stood up to Uzziah, the king, and told him, "It isn't your job, Uzziah, to burn incense to Yehovah. The job of burning incense belongs to the Kohanim, the descendants of Aaron, who have been consecrated. Get out of the sanctuary. You have trespassed, and Yehovah God will not honor you for this." This made Uzziah angry as he stood there with a censer in his hand, ready to burn incense. And in his anger at the Kohanim, Zaharat broke out on his forehead right in front of the Kohanim in the house of Yehovah, beside the altar for incense. Azariah, the chief Kohen, all the Kohanim, stared at him. There he was, with Zaharat on his forehead. quickly they threw him out of there, and indeed he himself hurried to get out, because Yehovah had struck him. Uzziah, the king, had Zerat until his dying day. He lived in a separate house because he had Zerat, and was not allowed into the house of Yehovah. Meanwhile, Yotam, the king's son, ran to the king's household, and was regent over the Elephtah people of the land. Other activities of Uzziah from the beginning to end were recorded by Yeshayahu, the prophet, the son of Amoz. So Uzziah slept with his ancestors and was buried with them, and his ancestors in the graveyard belonged to the kings, because they said he had Zerat. Then Yotam, his son, took his place as king. How can we learn to love our Creator reading this interesting 26th chapter of 2 Chronicles? We can love Yehovah by acknowledging his strength as the source of your success. Love Yehovah by staying humble even when he exalts you. Love Yehovah by obeying the boundaries he has set for holiness. How can we love our neighbors as we love ourselves and as Yeshua loves us? By modeling humility in leadership and success, reminding others that power is stewardship, not ownership. How can we bear one another's burdens? By interceding for leaders who have forgotten their dependence on Yehovah, praying that humility is restored before judgment falls. What are the top 3 fruits of the Spirit? Found 1. Humility. Uzziah's downfall began when his heart was lifted up. 2. Faithfulness. True strength is sustained by constant trust in Yehovah. 3. Self-control. Pride resisted brings purity. Pride embraced brings destruction. What is the Hebrew word that encapsulates this chapter? Gah-ah-VAH. Pride, arrogance, self-exaltation. Verse 16. But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction. How can we find Yeshua in the scriptures? Uzziah's pride contrasts with Yeshua's humility. He who was exalted chose to serve. The leprosy that marked Uzziah's fall mirrors the inward corruption of sin that only Messiah can cleanse. Yeshua restores what pride ruins, reestablishing purity through his perfect obedience. What is the mitzvah response? Torah-Based? Mitzvah. Deuteronomy 8, verse 17 through 18. You may say in your heart, my power and might of my hand have gotten me this wealth. But remember Yehovah your God, for it is he who gives you power. A response might look like this: I will remember that every triumph belongs to Yehovah, and humility is the crown of true kingship. The Hebrew declaration: Anava, Mar-chicha, Nefesh Mechol Pisha. Humility keeps the soul far from transgression. We'll end with the Aaronic blessing using the name. Yehovah will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yehovah will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward you, bringing order, and he'll provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yehovah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you, set in place all you need to be whole and complete. Shalom, shalom.